Hello, welcome to Weekly Shonen Jump. This is Fonzie.
And this is Hero.
And we're going over Shonen Jump's... Which volume is this? Would be the third volume for...
Yeah, like the third... like the third volume, which is the February 4th, 2013 issue. And today we get a special treat from Shonen Jump. The first chapter of Dragon Ball Z in full color!
But before that, we have one thing to go over. Unfortunately, it seems that my friend Hero here had made an unfortunate error when we discussed about Fairy Tail. We unfortunately made this video too quickly for the release of the scan to come out. So, in fact, the scan did come out, but it didn't come out before we made the video.
And
don't worry.
Hero, say you're sorry.
Don't worry. The more views we get, the more payment we can get for these videos, and the more money we get...
No, you can't say that. You can't say that on YouTube.
Alright, we need donations to get money for Andrew's brain surgery.
But yeah, so for now on, we're going to be making our reviews every Sunday.
Shout out to Whoring Out.
Yeah, we'll be making videos every Sunday, so that we can read the latest fairy tale and then talk about it in our video.
Yeah, so we will actually be going over both chapters 317 and 318 today. So most of you will get a nice little treat for that one as well, along with the first chapter of Dragon Ball Z in full color. But guess what? We can't show you the panels. We're not being fair to the company then.
We're not going to explain. We're not going to explain what happens in chapter because we all know what happens in the first chapter. So basically, I'm just gonna say I love the coloring in this chapter. I think the coloring is amazing. It almost looks like the actual anime. But there is something I don't like of what they did. I do not like the font they used for the dialogue. I just don't understand why they can't use the Anime Ace the Anime Ace font that they've been using for the longest time. I don't get it. But the coloring is fabulous. As an inspiring manga artist myself, I want to do, if I were ever to color any of my pages, I would color it like that. Very simple, very cartoony. Yeah.
Melchizedek, release date unknown.
Yeah, that's the title of my manga, which I was not planning to reveal anytime soon. Thank you, Fonzie.
Spoiler alert! Oh, whoops, too late.
Next we got Naruto, which I think is a very short chapter. It's very short. And here's what happens. Nothing happens until the very end.
Now, we can't be fair to that. Things happen, just not important things. And while this chapter is supposed to be called 618, the All-Knowing, not much has really happened in this and would probably release in the next chapter.
They just go to an abandoned building.
That's full of Oni masks. Why in the world anybody dresses up their house in this fashion is odd to me.
And Sasuke goes to Bask over Konoha before he decides to destroy it.
And of course, this is a shout-out scene to the first chapter of the new Naruto Shippuden, which has in daylight Naruto returns.
And it's the exact same thing. No, he's standing on the exact same spot where Naruto was.
Yeah, but I gotta say that this scene really reminds me of somehow in this fashion, Gotham. It's full of scum. Seriously, it's essentially...
I'm the goddamn Batman!
Anyways, they seem to talk about their plan of hopefully getting some questions answered and some
whatever questions... Okay, here's the thing. If you're gonna have questions answered, you gotta figure out what the questions are.
Yeah.
What are the questions?
Truly, this isn't due to bad writing. It's just bad. It's just sort of... They didn't really tell us what the whole point was. They sort of left on Itachi's note of saying... I love you as a brother, please learn to forgive the village. Seriously, after that, really nothing is resolved.
Okay, Sasuke is just a freaking idiot. He's willing to listen to a guy in a mask, and he's not willing to listen to his brother.
However...
Freaking idiots!
Well, in this case, it might be different because now we actually get ourselves a little glimpse of what he may want to actually have done. He actually goes back to the village, retrieves one of those masks on the wall, and actually invokes the
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 Edo Tensei, which is I guess is done in a very different way, where he uses what's that guy's name? That
uses it in the reverse, in short, to actually get back the spirit of the Shinigami to, I guess, cut open Orochimaru's stomach.
what
Senpuku all the way.
I did not get the point of that. Like, why did he have to do that?
Well, because it's like mimicry. It's like in the first time this jutsu was used, it was supposed to present that the Shinigami acted as well as the person controlling it. So whatever the person did, the Shinigami did.
Okay.
And so it's like sort of like the Susanoo, but like you can control the Susanoo with your mind, not with your movements.
But yeah, he uses those.
In short, he uses that movement to cut open his own stomach.
No. I'm talking about the guy that can sort of like
use water or
no. Okay, the guy who's like who's kind of like Two-Face. You know that guy.
Oh yeah, he's the original holder of the cursed seal.
Yeah. So he uses duplicates of him to bring back the original Kage, the original Hokages, including Minato. And when I saw that, I was like, "Oh shit, shit's gonna hit the fan now."
Well, to be honest, it's not like we haven't seen two of these guys before, but how, in fact, we're gonna see some of these guys act towards this, especially since Minato knows nothing about Sasuke's relationship with Naruto.
But here's the thing. Okay, since they brought back the old man and Minato, I'm having a feeling that there's gonna be like an ultimate confrontation with Naruto.
Well, we're actually looking forward to that. So hopefully the chapter won't be a gigantic bomb where everybody talks like a usual One Piece chapter. But hopefully we'll see what we're in store for in chapter 619. But now we actually get another interesting manga to be brought back for us, and this would be
only for one time, like they always do.
Yes, but this one's a special because this one was a real good series. It was known as Samurai X in Japan. Well, it's known as Rurouni Kenshin in America.
And by the way, the live-action movie came out in Japan, and I've been hearing a lot of good things from it.
Well, essentially, this is after all of the incidents involving Kenshin's rival, and after a big battle where usually the Rurouni Kenshin series would have ended. However, there was a spin-off that led into another story. This is one where where Kenshin is actually revisited by an old friend of his who he had fought in the first one. However, the guy unfortunately pierced his hand so much that now he literally has a hole through his hand and is known as the Reaper.
Ooh.
The only reason I don't make mention to this as much is because most of the chapters that we try and find to gain references aren't actually available as much as we would have hoped, because this series is very popular, so getting scans is difficult enough. But anyways, he seems to take it to Kaoru and ultimately obliterates her just by looking at her. I'm not kidding.
The glare of death.
This may, in fact, be his technique, the Shino-Ippo, which was used to actually freeze those with weaker wills just by looking at them. However, this seems to be a much more buffed-up version by literally showing them death itself. But essentially, even before that, he does something creepy with his sword in his hand. I'm just going to let you guys notice that.
Just for creepy sake.
But then we get ourselves a nice little three-way battle, which involves members of, you would not be able to guess this even if you tried, the Oni-Waban group. And I said Oni-Waban group. People have used to hate me when I said Obi-Wan Waban group. So yeah, please be nice to me. I don't know these pronunciations.
How dare you?
Shut up to higher learning. But anyways, we get ourselves a nice little battle with Saito and this new commando guy, who seems to have probably the best smile out of the entire series. And it seems that he's also very versed in hand-to-hand techniques, but he seems to also be using strange-looking gauntlets that appear to excrete oil so that he can make his punches that much smoother. And even though that Saito has been told time and time again not to use the Futa no Kokiwami, he continues to use it. And you'll see this a lot in both the anime and the manga. He'll use it time and time again, even though he says he's not supposed to do it. But no, you will still do it. Essentially, even that technique, the ultimate Futa no Kiwami, actually has no effect on the guy's gauntlets. And in short, actually does nothing to the gauntlets itself. And wondering
and so they fight.
With the commando seeming like he's already taking the advantage of the fight, which shows that Saito is not having a good time with this. However, we get a giant view of Kenshin going up against this skull ninja, who seem to be doing a great job at flying through Edo, Japan.
Look, up in the sky! It's a bird! It's a plane! It's a Japanese Superman! You mean Goku? Yeah!
Wrong. Shout out to references. But essentially what we're seeing here is another guy who uses a strange type of weapon. This is usually regarded as something that you would see out of the previous arc, but in this case, this is the Oniwaban group, and usually have more assassination tools, and so he uses iron strings to try and take down Kenshin. However, Kenshin is still the master samurai as he's always been, and cuts most of the strings apart. This, of course, is when they come back to an old friend, and I'm not going to release the identity of the old friend because, to be honest, this is one of the more famous characters and probably one that makes the fangirls scream. And, of course, I'll let that to be known is that he gives out the information that this is, in fact, the reincarnation of the Oniwaban group, but whether or not the rest of the others, like Lord Aoshi, are involved are still unknown. But it seems that at this point also we get a near stellar start to a fight between the old friend and the skull ninja. However, we probably get the worst reference to power and money through a metaphor by the main antagonist who has paid the new Oniwaban group, constantly hitting Kenshin's apprentice with a bag of money, trying to show that money is power.
I'm sorry, but that just sounds funny.
Wasn't this a kid who took down one of the many powerful warriors in the previous arc? He literally flew into the sky and took down a guy who drops dynamite on you. How in the world do you not get hit by this guy? He's throwing around a money sack. A money sack. This is not okay. But at the end, it seems like he's ready to fight now with a sword. And I'll say this, if this fight gets any stupider, I may as well just ignore it. But anyways, hopefully we'll be able to see more of this in later comics. Because, of course, the fact is that the Rurouni Kenshin comics are still available. However, they are much harder to find. But then we finally get to
One Piece.
And now we're going to start getting into some pretty new stuff. This is chapter 697, A Deal. And as we left off before we have yet to notice whether Doflamingo or anybody else is heading towards the island. But in fact, we are going back after the whole deal with Trafiglar Law and the Straw Hat crew. And of course, this leads into the final parts of where Trafiglar Law is done partying, I guess, or talking to Smoker, and has decided to go and look towards Buffalo and Baby 5. After that, Smoker then declares that everybody's moving out and wishes to capture Luffy, but knows that since he had helped him before, decides to go the honorable path, just like the awesome character Smoker is, and decides to let Luffy go on this one occasion only. After all, this isn't a complete repeat of the Alabasta arc, where once again Luffy saves his enemies. However, in that indication, Luffy continuously keeps saying that everybody everybody is kind of hypocritical in a way because the G5 continuously call the pirates evil after they were just partying their asses off with each other. And of course, they have good reason to say that because pirates are evil and because they want to give the kids a good upbringing by saying that pirates are bad because essentially pirates are bad. But it's more of a comical figure, and even though the kids want to go back with the pirates, the fact is that they know that the G5 know that they have to in fact teach the kids that the pirates are bad. And of course this leads to a lot of unnecessary crying. Facepalm to smokers. Shout out to Facepalm. However, it does seem that everything ends on a good note with everybody leaving. However, Trafigura Law seems to have done something. We then switch to Doflamingo flying. Of how this is coordinated, I have no idea. However, what we do see is that he is heading towards Punk Hazard. However, notices something strange in the ocean. Oh, dear God. At first, this scene creeped the hell out of me. This is literally a scene where a small boat, and at the mast, is both the head of Buffalo and Baby 5. Literally, just both heads.
Well, that ain't creepy.
Well, to anybody who isn't familiar with Trafigura Law's powers, that Trafigura has the ability to cut and rearrange pieces at his will in his so-called room ability. Not sure which category that falls under the 3 fruit powers, but we're just going to go with it. So essentially, you can cut up pieces, but you won't die. So in this case, that both Buffalo and Baby 5 start talking as literally just talking heads. Shout out to the talking heads. Explained to Doflamingo that all their plans are unfortunate since Caesar Clown has now been taken by the Straw Hats in law. However, of course, the flares have been sent up for Doflamingo to find this. And this is all to literally extort Doflamingo. Law is literally making a deal with him. Because as the plan was announced, Law has put an end to the Smile fruit power, which means that all the money that they're getting from Kaido of the 100 Beasts is now nothing. Because without the power to use Smile or to make it, since Caesar Clown is the only one who knows how to make it, this means that Doflamingo is in an unfortunate situation. Because you don't go on somebody's back, especially if that back is one of the 4 emperors, and says that he'll only he'll only give back Caesar Clown or the recipe to Smile if in fact he quits the 7 warlords. That means something bad. That means that his cover is essentially blown. With Virgo also out of the way, and I'm assuming dead, beyond all means, is that, Doflamingo's been put into a corner. And I'm sorry, but has anybody seen this guy get mad at all?
Nope.
And at this point, this is probably one of the most scariest scenes. For one, because Law is just such a strategist that he literally puts Doflamingo in the biggest pinch of his life. And the second scariest part is that this is the first time we've ever seen Doflamingo besides somebody who just laughs and smiles. He's now actually pissed. He's pissed. So the next chapter is going to involve how angry he's going to get at anybody. So hopefully we'll see some pretty good stuff in the next chapter. But we are going to go into another one. And this is the chapter of Toriko.
And now you get your 3 in a row. Are you happy now?
I get my 3 in a row! 3 in a row. Well, unfortunately, I like my 3 in a row, but of course, I like you to get some credit once or twice.
Okay, I gotta say, on the first page, there are like 2 characters that I think are sort of references to other manga characters. Okay, of the old guy with the long hair, yeah, he's the old guy. He's the old guy from Bleach, and the guy on the very bottom, I might think he's like just a more manly Usopp.
Well, I'm just gonna say this: the guy at the top is known as the Millimeter Chef because he leaves nothing to the millimeter. Yeah. I think of him more as a Gandalf figure. And as for the Tegu guy, he's a character all his own. Yeah,
with Usopp's nose.
Yeah, well, surprisingly, that nose is actually not real. But anyways, to recap from where we were, the Beast Yokukai have started their assault onto the contest, with the chefs now uh, making it aware that now they are going to fight. However, this unfortunately gives us our first glimpse into the fact that Zeus, the number one chef in the entire world, is unfortunately burnt to a crisp. Nothing is left but pretty much ash.
It's raining monsters. Hallelujah!
However, this of course encourages some very, very powerful emotions in most people, especially for Toriko, who's ready to face off against his mortal rival Star June. Who Star June has enjoyed making himself on fire, but doesn't even react fast enough to a 550-fold spiked punch.
Now, I have to say about this art, like, like, it's good, but when it gets to the fight scenes, I think it gets a little bit too detailed. Because sometimes I don't really know completely what's going on. Like, I'm able to get, like, the first big panel page, that he punched him, but then in the next page, I have no idea what's happening. Like, is he being punched so many times he's being pushed back, or?
Well, yeah, actually, people had a little bit of a problem with this, and an earlier volume explained what the fold spiked punch is. It's essentially a punch that uses the number of amount of punches into one single area. That means it's sort of like a delay. Like if you were to punch somebody with a 5 spike punch, you would hit them with the original punch, but then they would be sent flying back with 4 extra ones. So it's essentially a delayed attack.
Because sometimes this art is a little confusing. I'm just saying.
Well, even so, the fact is that getting hit 50 times square by a guy who uses his muscles later to break rocks and gives him one punch, but even still goes for the left-armed spike punch.
Punch!
Now, I'm going to say this for a lot of people. This is going to be an extraordinary battle, but this is going off the literal hook off of what Toriko has usually used for its battles. This is more of a Dragon Ball Z-like battle, where the battle takes place everywhere.
Just like in every other shonen battle manga.
Yeah, but this one takes the cake, because usually before the standard is that they were always in one select area. In this case, Toriko has literally punched Star June with a total of 100 hits already and sent him out of the arena, but then in fact uses a 100-fold twin spiked punch, which means he's now going to get hit another 100 consecutive times.
Okay, this is sort of the problem I have with a lot of shonen mangas. Is like, okay, especially with Toriko, okay, it's about food. It's about gourmet. It's about hunting. Now it's sort of turned away from that. Now it has nothing to do with cooking. Now it's just a Dragon Ball Z styled shonen manga.
Well, we do have
that's that's just the problem I have.
Well, the thing is that what we have right now is a sort of intermediate chapter. Beforehand, there was a huge arc dealing with the most powerful of creatures, the Floor Beast, which is essentially a giant parasitic creature that creates other creatures. And it sort of goes like that. The chapters don't really explain of what they're hunting or what they're trying to get. It's just sort of what's on the menu. And you sort of have to follow that. And there is no menu for this particular one. Instead, it is essentially the Chef's Head contest, where it tells you of who was going to be the next literally head chef. And I'll say this. Hell's Kitchen could go suck a duck, because this competition is deadly. Seriously, there's a triathlon in this. I'd like to see Chef Ramsay do this shit. But
what are you doing?
But to appease the shonen to the shonen fans, there is in fact, quite the battle scenes. So beforehand, there was a lot of, the chef contest and introducing characters. Well, the battle has finally started. A lot of fighting should actually happen. That's usually the route it should go. But this one changes because the characters are now so very much stronger after eating the Four Beasts that now the battles will probably be something of more spectacular than anything else. And to get back to it, Toriko is about to use his combination of leg boomerang and fork cannon that he used previously on the Four Beast. And of course, a successful hit to Starjun. Seriously, this guy is taking so much punishment. And then another 50-fold nail gun, which is a much more precise version of the 50-fold nail punch. And sends once again Starjun hurtling so far away from the competition and into a mountainous area. Where, of course, Toriko's looking fly in his white tux. Still. And eventually breaks off Starjun's mask, which was given to him, which was supposed to admit that he was impenetrable. Seriously, some of the gear in this series is all but omnipotent.
Now, while the art is good, but some of the characters kind of have the same face. Like, if you look at Starjun now, and with his mask coming off, you can kind of see Toriko in him.
Yeah, a little bit of Sani and Toriko because really, but you got to give credit to this series. Alone, it's based on its idea structure. It's not always about how characters look. It's about how pretty much they are perceived as such. You'll remember Starjun because he's the long black-haired Black Knight who uses fire. Well, Toriko's the blue-haired guy who constantly uses making knife and fork references and constantly way too hungry most of the time.
Just like every other shonen character.
Yeah, but as we soon end it out, we are about to see something really creepy in my mind. This character has been in the series for quite some time, but never really known about his power. This is in fact the head of the gourmet cultivation.
His bit beast is a cyclops with demon horns.
Oh well, yeah, that is essentially Starjun's hunger spirit.
Yeah, that's sort of what I mean. It's sort of a Beyblade reference. Where sort of their familiar spirit.
This is a recommendation. Do not watch Beyblade. You are selling out.
I loved it when I was a kid, and now it's like
silence. You are tearing our fans apart.
I love tearing my fans apart.
But essentially, that will be the end of Toriko, and I will leave the character in reference that I was speaking about before to the fans, because of course I don't want to give too much away. So you go and buy it yourself.
And let's just skip Crossmatch because we know nothing about it.
Still looking for those scans and looking for references, and I'm not doing a wiki attack. But in fact, we do have another chapter to go off for, One Punch Man. Okay. This is yours now.
Okay, One Punch Man. Okay, number 3. Okay, this chapter. Okay, this one was actually okay. The third chapter is a lot better than the first two. So basically, a scientist makes some sort of steroid for his brother. He's all like, "I found it! I made a steroid for you that'll make you stronger." But instead it turns him into a giant armored monster. And what does he do? And what do giant monsters do in the city? They go to Disney World. No, of course they destroy stuff. And so our main hero just suddenly appears on the other side of the shoulder. He's like, "Hey, what's up?" And the giant kills his brother. I do not know why he did. I don't know if it was an accident or if he actually intended to kill his brother. And of course, our main hero kills him with just one punch. It's an okay chapter. It's a lot better than the first two. I'll still keep reading, but still, I don't really know what the whole premise of this story is, other than just to be a parody of Western superheroes. It even does say that the main hero does he trained himself so hard he became bald. Yeah, that has anything to do with the side effects of training. I guess it's like a monk reference or something. So it's a pretty short chapter, and I guess I'm interested in what happens next. Since nothing really hilarious happens, So yeah.
I don't know. I think the idea of him literally punching out the demon in one punch literally sends the giant monster falling on another city and destroys that city. Nice going. Oops. But
And this manga really was. This manga really was written by Michael Bay.
But we have less of One Punch Man to talk about. We now actually get back into Bleach, and boy, what a chapter!
On which you do have an announcement about Bleach, it's gonna skip a week or something.
Yes, and it seems that with the scans we usually use for reference, the scans did not bring out a Bleach chapter, so we may not have one within the next jump. Just making aware of that. But we still have a pretty damn good chapter to give you all about. This is Bleach 525 Edges. And this is still continuing the battle between Kenpachi and Unohana. Of course, reminiscing about the fight beforehand in the past. This is back when Unohana is the captain of the 11th squad and is still known as the Kenpachi. However, she noticed that an entire village has already been decimated due to a rebellion.
Oh, I didn't know Luffy was in this manga.
But yes, unfortunately, she did not seem to notice that there was a pile of dead bodies, but noticed that they were there when she got there. And of course, we get a nice little glimpse of the child Kenpachi.
Who kind of looks like Luffy, only scary.
Yes, very scary and intimidating young child. And I gotta say, the form of what you say when you go to bliss after being stabbed by somebody is quite profound, especially to
And that is how I got my scar. Which I assume is by him, himself.
Yeah, by Kenpachi.
Yeah, by Kenpachi himself.
Well, I guess that's where the whole my scars are throbbing in the past chapters would come because, of course, they want to fight each other and they know that they're each other's almost great equals.
I've been scarred for life.
Okay, now we need donations for lessons on comedy for Andrew here. This is a real problem, fans. But back to the Bleach chapter, we actually see that in and out, she's remembering of how she actually might have turned Kenpachi this way, and is actually apologetic for it. She didn't really want to turn him into a monster, but she knew that the thrill of the fight was so over-engrossing that there was eventually somebody who was going to be the same. She kept on fighting instead of killing him. But she knew that she was actually weaker than him. This is Kenpachi as a child, and this is Unohana at her warrior's prime. She gets defeated by a kid, but instead she manages to actually get Kenpachi off her back. Of how, we're not completely sure of that. But we do seem to notice one thing. Back to the present battle, it seems that most of the things that Kenpachi has been struck by, especially sword slashes and that slash to the neck, have actually happened. They weren't events of the foreshadowing of death. He actually got stabbed through the throat. And to be honest, she was healing him the entire time, pretty much bringing him back from the brink of death continuously, as a way to reference that every time Kenpachi is near death or is at the point of death and gets resurrected, he becomes more bloodthirsty than he was before. So in short, his carnage level goes up. And this is Kenpachi, the guy who slices buildings apart for fun. So to even make that is pretty damn scary. This is the idea of, hey, let's give him Shikai. The world has ended. But the chapter ends with Kenpachi giving off the look of an absolute killer, and of course Ohana gets herself cut up by him. Of what is to remain from that, we are not completely sure, but that is where the chapter ends for Bleach, and we hope to see some prolific uses of Kenpachi's new acquired bloodthirst in the next chapter.
And now we get to Nisekoi chapter 60 needed. Okay.
You talk, I just, ignore this.
And so Ichijo is now Ochitoge's mom's secretary, and boy, she is just giving him hell. Like, just,
I'm sure it's secretary and not bitch.
Yeah, secretary. I mean, bitch. Yeah, yeah. Pretty much just giving him hell, where she literally says, uh, where she literally says that he has to memorize the entire agenda in 5 minutes. Worst manager ever. So yeah, just pretty much giving him all hell, and so she finally gives him. She finally gives him a break and to give
I
him
don't
a
know.
cola.
Donald Trump seems like a dick boss too.
Oh, oh no. Oh no, she makes she makes Donald Trump look like a good guy.
Oh boy.
Because okay, she hospitalized 5 of her secretaries. Hospitalized. That is nothing.
I don't know. At least she's not having him prove a birth certificate.
Oh, okay.
Shout out to references.
Okay, and here's one of the little jobs that she makes him do. Okay, so let me go back to the page where she actually calls her. Okay, he she calls his little secretary. Could you pick me up a few things while you're at it? The daughter of a business partner of mine in Canada wants a plush doll that's only available at Tokyo Disney World. Would you pick one up? Huh? Yeah. She really wants him to go to Disney World to pick up a plush doll. And one of each of the limited edition channel bags only sold in Japan. Yeah, just pretty much drive hours to Disney World, and she wants him to get the plush doll in 3 hours. She's a bitch.
And from what it looks like, I don't think he took a car. I think he ran.
well, of course he took a car, so he was able to get the job done, and they had to go do something to the next door. But no, they don't drive there. They go dark night on it. They go dark night on it and just slide through.
In short, she is in a business tower where, in fact, the next meeting she has is in the adjacent tower. So instead of using, like a door like a normal person, she decides he has to go the Dark Knight route and use a grappling hook to the other building.
She is insane.
Yeah, shout out to this businesswoman's a better businesswoman than Tony Stark.
And so,
all we need is some Burger King.
And so Ichijo, decides to give Toge a call, and just talk about her mom and how, she's a total bitch, she was never there for her, blah blah blah. And so Ichijo makes a suggestion to actually call her mom and tell her that she wants to spend time with her and not with him. And so she actually does. So she actually does just that, and calls her mom and tells her, I want to spend time with you on Christmas, and her mom refuses. Her mom refuses and says, oh no, you don't need me. You just spend time with your boyfriend. And even Ichijo is upset that she actually said that.
That's what happens when you get good character development. When they decide to care not about themselves, but other people around them.
But here's her excuse. The excuse is that she's the only person who can do this job. Now, it doesn't really explain why. But after Uchitoge hangs up the phone, she takes off the ribbon that her mom gave her when she was little and gives, the saddest face I've ever seen. This was just a sad chapter. Crazy and sad.
And you'd think that an entire manga about mafias and forced weddings, you would think that there would forced wedding. I'm just the excuse that there should be no sad.
Just to be more specific, it's not a forced wedding. It's an enforced relationship. It's the only thing that's going to keep the gangsters and the yakuzas from fighting each other. We're gonna skip Blue Exorcist because I don't really care about that series either.
Well, hell, hey, wait. We at least have to give this to our fans' sake because there is a chapter of Blue Exorcist, But because the Blue Exorcist series hasn't been in the Shonen Jump for a while now, a lot of things have passed, and we wouldn't be able to give you as much information. An entire arc series has passed at this point, so giving you this reference wouldn't be doing you any good. So it'd probably be best just to go over to a local bookstore and finding the volumes beforehand. And just to make any suggestions, this is in fact Blue Exorcist chapter 43. So I'm not sure of which volume this is entailing, but it's probably past volume 12 at this point. So I will make this reference into that it is unfair that we will not be able to actually review this particular chapter. We just want to make mention of it, that if you do like Blue Exorcist, it is still within the realm of being shown up in Shonen Jump.
From time to time.
Yeah, like other series, like you probably noticed in our first video, we had to go over Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal, which had not been in the series for quite some time before the new series Yu-Gi-Oh! R was ever used. So in short, it was just really go back to original Shonen Jump.
And that's pretty much it. For the next chapter, there's a new series that is going to appear in Shonen Jump called World Trigger, which I think is gonna be a rip off of Bleach.
Well, we'll see what happens, because of course when it says new series, we are definitely in for something new.
And so yeah, so now we get to the 2 chapters that we missed on Fairy Tail, of which now that they know that like 10,000 dragons are gonna go rain of fire on everybody, which I'm surprised that Nasu is not thinking of the possibility that he might find Gagio there.
You mean Igneo?
Oh yeah. Igneo. Sorry, I'm just not thinking straight.
Yeah, instead.
Like, why didn't he think of the possibility of that?
Well, because I guess for at least Natsu's case, he doesn't know where Igneo is, and whether or not I don't think that Natsu understands that Igneo might be evil, but I don't think that he believes that Igneo would do something like this.
I don't know, because he never actually says, no, Igneo will never do this. So how can you say that he doesn't think that?
Well, because, we can't... I'm not giving Natsu credit. He's an idiot. I mean...
just like every other...
In the fourth panel... In the fourth page of the chapter, we get him literally arming himself with arrows and a helmet.
Why he's doing this, I don't know. He has fire magic and lightning magic, which is awesome.
Yeah, but of course we always get the premonitions of the cat girl who decides Carla, who decides to give no such information about the visions that she has. All in all, we decide to actually trust Lucy on this, the future Lucy.
But they're also thinking that maybe it's not the real Lucy.
But of course,
the fact that this Lucy might be a fraud.
The only ones who seem to be thinking about that are those of the royal guard and the princess herself. However, it seems that Natsu is fully aware to actually trusting her, because I mean, come on, this is Lucy from the future.
And some shipping.
Yeah, and some shipping. Yeah, you Nalu fans out there, or Luna fans, or whatever. Yeah, that's your bread and butter there.
And mine too.
Yeah, but it seems that not that.
And now Jalal is
skeptical on whether or not this Eclipse project is going to happen, or the war with the 10,000 dragons.
And he's also the one who thought of the idea that maybe this future Lucy is an imposter.
But we have more important things to do. More fights!
Yay!
Especially with the...
Fight!
Okay, calm down there, Andrew. Calm down.
Well, and so Rogue is like going crazy as to his shadow is, just somehow talking to him and going like Gollum on everybody. Kill him. You know it's your destiny. Yeah, kill him.
Yeah, and of course, but this is after the fact of where Rogue learns that Gagio fights for friends now than he used to fight for his own self, and realizes that everything that Rogue had fought in Sabretooth was absolutely pointless. And the reason why Gagio is probably stronger than him is because Gagio has a good reason for fighting, whereas Rogue doesn't know how to fight for other people. Until Gagio reveals to him, probably the best part about Gagio is that he wanted a friend to protect the entire time, and obviously got Panther Lily, and of course made it aware to Rogue that Fro is in fact a friend to fight for. But of course, just like how Hero explained,
But of course, the darkness takes him over.
And what this actually is I'm not even completely sure what this is.
Like this just came out of nowhere. Like suddenly his shadow can like possess him.
I mean, that hasn't happened before for any of the other Dragon Slayers, so what makes this one so special?
And 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 not to mention that, okay, like and then the next chapter, there's more fighting. I'm not gonna get into detail of how the fight actually goes, because but the thing is, Gajio actually swallows up the shadow and becomes possessed, which is pretty scary looking.
Yeah, after he literally gets his ass handed to him in a nice little skirmish of fights between Shadows and Iron, Gajiel ends up doing the exact same thing that Natsu was doing for quite some time, was just literally eating elements at willy-nilly.
Just trying to absorb other elements. Which I actually think that like fire and lightning, actually work. Actually go hand in hand. But fire, iron, and shadow, I don't think it's gonna work out very well.
Yeah, it doesn't. I don't think it's a correlation between magic or a union between magic. I just think it's how Dragon Slayer views their elemental powers, because really that's how it works.
Maybe this is like a new thing for Dragon Slayers, that they are able to take on other elements, but it just takes some time to get used to it or something.
Yeah, but I mean, for me, I have actually a different theory about how dragons work, and I really think it has to go back to the whole thing with dragons, that they were either on the side of humans or on the side of the dragons.
I guess it like depends on the dragon, know, and it depends on their agenda.
And I think in this case, when we said that Gajiel had eaten the power of the shadow of Rogue, it seems that for at one point that he actually starts talking to Rogue, the possessed Rogue, and starts uttering that. I have to say that this is pretty much what gets me to think that it's not Gajiel talking. That's another possessed part of Rogue's shadow. He knows that Rogue's name is not Rogue; it's Rios.
Oh no! Wait, Rios? Oh, okay, yeah, it is Rios.
His name is Rios.
I thought I saw an apostrophe there.
And his name is Rios, and that he was his former discipline and never wanted to actually give the person up, and how he feared him. Now, this is where I start to think that it's not the same, because I believe that this is actually the Shadow Dragon, who was the one who trained Rogue or Rios in that.
And then somehow possessed him.
This goes back to a theory I had about dragons in Fairy Tail, that since they are essentially masters of the elements who teach certain humans of how to use this power, you would think that they would be able to also bend the elements to their own will. Of whether or not they died out or disappeared, I believe that they decided to hide in elements.
Which is why I also say, why Natsu, is not thinking of the possibility that he might actually see Igneo there.
Well, he doesn't seem to realize that at all yet, but we hope to see something in chapter 320.
Yeah,
320 soon, and hopefully we'll see some questions getting answered and a little bit more of the fights. Because I'll say this: out of all the fights that I do in fact want to see, is the fight between Luxus and Jura.
The Black Lightning.
Well, actually, Jura's the 10 Wizard Saints that uses Earth. But anyways, that concludes this weekly Shonen Jump review and the Fairy Tail chapters of the week. But we do also have a recommended manga for you, those of you to read.
Yeah, so I'll start off with that. I recommend everybody to read Bakuman because since it was created by the creators of Death Note, this is a this is a real change of pace for the creators where they go from like dark and edgy to to more sophisticated and funny and and a little more lighthearted and the art is very good. Like it goes from very like from Death Note, which was very detailed and dark and gritty, to Bakuman, where it's very cartoony and and very light. So and especially for those who are wanting to become comic or manga artists themselves, I highly recommend that you read Bakuman because it does give you some do's and don'ts of being a manga artist.
So that is our wrap up. This was Fonzie.
And this is Hero.
And we're signing off.